In the quiet town of Millbrook, where autumn leaves drifted lazily over cobbled streets, there lived a boy named Jack Sullivan, 12 years old and often overlooked. Since his parents had passed 2 winters ago, Jack lived above the old family hardware store with his uncle, Reginald Sullivan, a man whose smile never quite reached his eyes. One rainy afternoon, while searching the attic for a leaking bucket, Jack's fingers brushed against a dusty wooden box tucked behind old photo albums. Inside lay a brass compass, its surface etched with strange spiraling patterns that seemed to shimmer even in the dim light. As Jack lifted it, the needle spun wildly, not toward north, but toward the window toward the street below. Curious, Jack followed it downstairs and out into the rain. The needle led him 3 blocks over, to where old Mrs. Higgins had slipped on wet leaves and lay struggling to rise, her groceries scattered around her. As Jack knelt to help her, warmth flooded through his chest, and for a heartbeat the compass glowed a soft gold. "Well, aren't you a fine young man, Mrs. Higgins said, patting his hand. Jack only smiled, still stunned by what he'd felt. Over the following days, Jack began to understand. The compass didn't point north. It pointed to whoever needed help most. And each time he answered its call, carrying firewood for the widow on Elm Street, chasing down a runaway dog for the Petrov twins, pulling a stuck kitten from a storm drain, the compass face lit brighter, and Jack felt a curious new strength surge through his arms and legs, faster reflexes, steadier hands, as though the town's gratitude itself was feeding him power. One evening, the compass began to glow brighter than ever before, its dial ticking upward like a spinning gauge. A soft golden light shimmered across its face, and words seemed to form in the air before Jack's eyes. Compass bond level 2 unlocked. Heart strength increased. Jack gasped, flexing his fingers, feeling a new steadiness in his bones. The compass was growing with him. But not everyone in Millbrook wished the town well. Uncle Reginald had fallen into debt from bad investments, and one night, Jack overheard him on the phone with a stranger. "The old Sullivan land, out past the mill. There's something valuable buried there, I'm sure of it. I'll sell you the deed, compass, and all for the right price." Jack's blood ran cold. The compass, his parents' compass. Uncle Reginald meant to sell it, and the family land with it, to a buyer who called himself only Mr. Voss. Days later, a sleek black car rolled into Millbrook, and out stepped Mr. Voss, a thin man in a gray coat with eyes like flat stones. He shook Reginald's hand and smiled without warmth. "The compass is merely sentimental to you," Voss said smoothly. "To me, it's a key. Whoever carries it can be persuaded to do a great many things for the right person." That night, Jack clutched the compass tight, and it hummed warm and steady in his palm as though comforting him. He knew then Voss didn't want to help anyone. He wanted to twist the compass's gift, force it to point toward profit instead of people, and use its growing power for himself. Reginald cornered Jack in the store's back room, hand outstretched. "Give it here, boy. It's not yours to keep." Jack backed away, shaking his head. "It's not about keeping it, Uncle. It's about what it's for." Reginald's face twisted with anger and desperation. "You don't understand what I owe. What we'll lose." But Jack held firm, the compass glowing brighter between his fingers, its needle spinning fast, urgent, alive. The needle suddenly locked, pointing hard toward the old mill at the edge of town. Jack ran, rain lashing his face, his new speed carrying him faster than he'd ever moved before. There he found the mill's old dam straining under the storm's swollen river, ready to burst and flood the lower town where dozens of families lived. Voss stood nearby, unconcerned, waiting for the chaos that would drive the town into panic and force a cheap land sale. "Compass or not," Voss sneered as Jack arrived breathless, "you're just a boy." But Jack didn't hesitate. He pressed his palm to the old sluice gate, and the compass flared gold, lending him strength beyond his years. He heaved the rusted gate open, easing the pressure, buying precious minutes as townsfolk rushed to reinforce the dam with sandbags. Uncle Reginald arrived moments later, breathless, and saw his nephew straining against the flood, saw the golden light pulsing from the compass. Not for wealth, not for power, but for people. Something in Reginald's hardened heart cracked. He threw himself into the work beside Jack, hauling sandbags until his arms shook, shouting for Voss to leave and never return. Voss, seeing his scheme collapse, slipped back into his black car and vanished down the rain-soaked road, never to trouble Millbrook again. By morning the storm had passed, the dam held and the town was safe. Reginald knelt before Jack, ashamed. "I was so afraid of losing everything, I nearly lost you instead." Jack simply hugged him, the compass warm and quiet between them now, its work done for the night. From that day on, Uncle Reginald changed. He worked alongside Jack to help their neighbors, no debt or desperation clouding his choices again. And the compass, resting now in Jack's coat pocket, would glow softly whenever someone nearby needed a helping hand. A quiet reminder that the truest treasure in Millbrook was never gold or land, but the courage to give of yourself for others.